Hey, you guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, one of my favorite days of the week, right? Friday and Mondays. I love them both. But happy Friday, happy Friday. It is an honor and a pleasure to be back on here once again, you guys. I haven't been here in a few weeks now. I gave myself a little break. I think we all deserve to press pause for a minute. If you plan to be effective in whatever it is that you're doing, especially when there is intent and when there's purpose behind it. And not only that, when it's something that's connected to our Father, right? You want to make sure that you're giving the energy that it deserves, right? Especially if it can be a life-changing situation. And I believe that, let's be clear, it's definitely life-changing. It's marriage changing, it's relationship changing, it's an individual changing, right? And so in order for me to give you, right, I have to be able to receive what he's giving me. And there's been times where I've been like a little overwhelmed because I had so many things going on. Yeah, I said it. I finally said it. Usually people say, girl, you're always, and I'm like, no, I'm not. But I had to tap in and press pause for a minute because my goal, especially with Make It Rise, is to create a movement where we're changing the view of how society says marriage is or what it's supposed to be. And not only that, when God gave me the different vehicle to, let's be clear, in relationships and just helping women to become healed and whole, that came with a lot. That came with a lot of experience, things that I had to go through in order for me to be able to speak about it and to teach on it and to have the passion, right, to come with it. And so from time to time, I'll pause. I've been rolling for almost 2 years now, coming on for every other Friday. And I think that I've only paused for about a month twice. And it's necessary, I shall say that. But I'm so glad to be back once again. As I said, this time we are coming with another series. I've been in the mode of series. And so this series is marriage versus dating, right? I got some of my friends, some of my buddies, right? Some I can definitely say that is my friend. And they're all doctors. And that's what's amazing to me. I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to school for it or anything like that. But I know sometimes people question, how are you able to, right? Well, experience, one, and then two, it's what God called me to do, right? So I'm a doctor in that, right? But the ladies and gentlemen that I have coming on in this series, they're really doctors, y'all. And so I wanted to get their opinion in this on this topic, marriage versus dating, right? And I want to say all of them except for one, two, are married, and the others are dating. And one, I'm not sure. It's a gentleman, Dr. Marty. He's going to come on. I'm not sure of his status, but I know the majority of them are married or in relationship. They're dating, right? And so I just thought, why not bring on people who have the actual experience? And why am I doing something that says marriage versus dating, especially if I've been put in position to push healthy, happy, and healed and whole marriages? I've been put in that position to do the same thing as a single person and as someone that's dating, right? I believe it's very important for us to start somewhere, and the somewhere is as the single person. So you become happy, healthy, healed, and whole as an individual, and that rolls over into your relationship, and then that rolls over into your marriage, right? So God had to have me back out of this thing. I started off talking about marriage, and then God said, but let's put this thing in reverse, right? So in this vehicle that he has me in, I've had to go through reverse. I've gotten into a relationship after a divorce that didn't work for multiple reasons, and then I was single for a while, and I was learning about me, and then I started just hanging out with different people and just doing a whole lot, right? And so now I'm actually dating one person, one individual. And honestly, I'm learning a lot about myself. And so a lot of my teaching today is a result of some things that I'm learning about me today. So again, today's topic or the series is marriage versus dating. But what we're talking about today with the doctor that I'm bringing on is, where do you draw the line, right? So we're asking, like, is there a thin line between marriage and dating? But today's topic specifically is, where do you draw the line? And I have my good friend, my sister, my girl, my homegirl, my dog. Look, She's all of those things. My prayer partner, my prayer warrior. She's all of that. My God, baby's mama, right? I had to get real soft with that because that's my girl. Dr. Crystal Walker that I'm going to bring on, and I'll let her introduce herself and talk a little bit about what it is that she does, and then we're going to get this party. Hey, sis.
Hey, how's it going? I hear the introduction. I'm all pumped, like, yeah.
I brought you in like, boom,
Right. That's exactly right.
How's it going out there? You're where?
I am in Fort Wayne, Indiana, by way of Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Los Angeles, California, where I was.
Yeah.
So I've had a bit of a journey too. Been here now. It'll be 2 years in December. That time went by really quick.
It did. Well, tell the people a little bit about yourself, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Dr. Crystal Walker. I am, as I mentioned, Los Angeles native. I currently reside in Fort Wayne, Indiana. As a profession, I am a vice president. I am responsible for diversity, equity, and inclusion, training and development, and employee well-being at the organization for which I work. My doctorate degree is actually in organizational leadership. So I love when I have an opportunity to help leaders, coach leaders, train leaders in any capacity that I can. And who knew, years ago when I pursued this particular degree that I would be operating in this function? He knew. So even with all my insecurities and all the stuff that I was going through at that time, I thank God that he had this particular season in my life set up. So excited to be a part of your show, sis, and excited to just kind of watch you from afar. Like, okay, I remember we were having like round table discussions and praying, sowing seeds for all of this stuff to come forth. And the life that you're living, the life that I'm living now, I'm glad that God is faithful to his word, even when we don't see it, even when we don't feel it. Yeah. It feels good to just kind of be in this moment right now and living what we've prayed for.
Man, that you said a mouthful right there, because it's so true. We'd meet and we'd sit at the table and we'd break down what our goals were. And sometimes you can write your goal, but do you really believe it's going to happen?
Yeah.
So that's we gotta be mindful of what we're speaking.
Yeah. And I thank God, because I feel like that was just really surface scratching. And so now, obviously, from experiences from your own, it's now, okay, God, if you did that, it blow my mind. What's next?
Blow my mind.
And I know for me, just from those table talk discussions, now I've learned to believe God for the big stuff. I want to be like Joshua, like, make the sun stand still, Jesus.
Because you can.
Yeah, because he's like, I need somebody to believe me on that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thank God for this season of our lives.
I love it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to just have this type of conversation with you on the other side of the other conversation, And I know it only gets better. It's only going to grow, and we're only going to continue to support each other in the things that we do. So I want to say thank you for coming on to the show tonight. And just being a part and just giving your opinion, right? Yeah. I want the viewers to understand that these are our opinions. And we're not saying that this is Bible. We're just giving you a different viewpoint of some things that I'm sure you've walked through, or that you may be getting ready to walk through, right? Yeah. I want to make sure that Make It Rise is one of those staples that go home with you, that you remember, like something that Dr. Crystal Walker said or something that Tam said, and you say, you know what? I'm going to respond a little differently, or I'm going to give that a little bit more thought as a result of something that's being said on this show. So without any further ado, I just want to go ahead and jump right into this thing. Our topic tonight is, where do you draw the line? So we're talking about marriage and dating. And we know that, marriage is, you see, read, hear, feel about marriage all in the word, all in the Bible. It's instituted by God, right? It's ordained by God. It's something that he put together, right? It's what he wants us to, something that he wants us to model our relationships after, how he loved the church. All those things are said in the Bible, but not once does it say, but this is how you date, right? And oftentimes I tell people, I said, it doesn't say, you don't see the word date, but the principle is there, right? And so often when you are speaking to a crowd of people who you do not know who your audience is, it's smart for you to speak principle, right? So if you learn how to speak principle about a specific topic, I think you win it in life right there. So to be able to speak about marriage, but the principle of marriage in order to get there, it funnels into where you're supposed to be. But how do you get there? It's the directive, the direction on how to get to marriage. If you're dating with a purpose, because see, there's a difference between dating and just dating with a purpose. I've done both. Not ashamed to say, I've dated because I was lonely. I've dated because he was cute, or I could, you know what I'm saying? Because people said, girl, it's your time to live your life. I go out with this one, that one, have this one for Monday, that one for Tuesday. Sex or no sex involved, it's just something that's keeping me busy. But we got to be mindful of just staying busy, because you're not giving yourself an opportunity to heal so that you can be available and ready to be in a real relationship where you're dating with a purpose. I'm going on and on and on. Crystal, you got to stop me, girl.
Listen, this is me. I love it. So first of all, I love this topic, and I'm glad that you're doing this. I don't feel like there's a lot of information out there, right? We know there's a lot of information. There's a lot of people tugging at our attention, from social media ads to emails to just general conversations, commercials, TV, Power, P-Valley, all these other things that are just kind of competing for our attention on some level. And I think that this is a very important discussion topic to discuss, especially now during today's error, because I feel like we have gotten away from a lot of marriage principles, a lot of dating principles. And I know that when I was coming up, it was healthy to see a man and a woman married, loving life, trying to do their family. And when you saw it in my world, it was a rare commodity. And so there wasn't a lot of, if you saw one, it was like, that's the couple that you model, because they're doing something right. They've been through this, they've been through that. You never see their business out on the street. They hold each other down. That was very, very rare. So I grew up in an era where I've seen people divorce. I've seen people try marriage. I've seen very unhealthy marriages, or I didn't see marriage at all. Right. It was just people shacking, and that's what we did. We'd been together for years, and you might as well say we married common law, because we've been together 10, 20 years, and you ain't going nowhere, I ain't going nowhere. But there wasn't a lot of teaching around the principles of marriage from a godly perspective. And again, in my world, I can't say that it wasn't happening, but in my world, I wasn't exposed to a lot of that. So for me, I kind of grew up looking at what I didn't want. I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy taking note, like, I don't want that. I don't want to experience this in a relationship. I experienced that before. That didn't feel good. I don't want to do this. I'm going to make sure mine got da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Instead of looking at, well, what does a good example look like? Because I think sometimes we focus so hard on trying not to be, or trying not to replicate our mindset, that we end up inevitably being that anyway. And so for me, I think having topics like this, where we can talk about where do you really draw the line between marriage and dating, when this is all that you've seen, right? And I think for us, we know from a biblical perspective, you got to do it God's way. You talk about your experience of, like, you do it enough, you realize, I'm tired of doing this without God. Let me go and buckle down and vow, because I'm tired of getting the short end of the stick, or I'm tired of feeling like I'm losing, or I'm tired of battling with my soul, because I done gave myself here and there, and now I got soul ties everywhere. And so I think it comes to a point in your life when you're real serious and you really are intentional about the whole dating scene, the whole marriage scene. That comes from a little bit of knowing what you don't want, but it also comes from a lot of knowing what you do want and what you think you deserve. And I think, and you talk about it a lot, Tam, but I think the most important thing, and even where I am right now, being a married woman, I am still fixing me. I am still looking at ways, how can I be fully Crystal before I expect somebody else to accommodate me in any way?
That's good.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm at a point right now where I was just telling the ladies at the women's conference that I hosted last month, for me, it's not about status anymore, right? I got the doctorate degree. I got the executive role. You know what I mean? I've accomplished a lot. I got a thought leader brand all over social media, online, right?
Right.
It's not even about that stuff, because you can have all of that and still have a void. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
All of that and still have a void. You can make all the money that you want to make. You can be able to do things at your leisure and still be broken and still have a void. So I've
Yeah.
shifted my perspective from trying to check the box and do the bucket list type stuff that people would expect me to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
God, I just want to be in a position now where I can live legacy. Natalie talks about that, about living legacy, and you
Yeah.
point where that clicks. Like, oh, it ain't even really about the stuff. It's about I'm finding myself literally right. I have no grandchildren, and as far as I know, I don't have none on the way. But I've been doing things, writing letters to my grandchildren,
Mm.
letting them know that this is who your grandmother is. This is who, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
them to be able to read it, and I want them to hear from my perspective and not something that somebody else is making up. So before
Yeah.
I get into a marriage, before I get into on the dating scene, I think that one of the best things and the most important things we can talk about is how do you fill you up? How do you position yourself to be fully satisfied? I mean, we all were designed to be in companionship. We were designed to be in the company of others and to thrive
Right.
and all those things. But man, if you ain't gonna be happy with yourself, it don't even matter.
That's the best place to start.
Yeah.
That's the best place to start. So before you can even, we should even have conversation about dating and about being married, we should talk about self, because as I often say, we got to look in the mirror at ourselves and not out the window at others, right?
Yeah.
What work is it that I need to do? Especially, you said something about a list. We make these lists of what I want in a man and what I want in a woman, right? But do I have what it takes inside that's going to help withstand what that man has or what that woman has, right? Do I have enough of the stuff that's going to bring that to me, right? Or am I setting myself up to get something great only to lose it because I wasn't prepared for it? And often
am I
you
taking
you want, but you don't do there's no preparation for it. So it comes and then you lose it.
I love that, and I want to put a pin right there because I want to share something and be completely vulnerable and transparent in this moment. But I want to say this first. That piece is so important because you'll end up attracting the same junk that's in you, and then be mad later on because now you got to deal with it even after you've matured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I heard T.D. Jakes bring a message years ago. He said the worst thing that a man can do is fall in love with a backslidden woman.
Ooh.
Because when she reunite and rekindle with Christ, and if you ain't up to the standard that, man, listen. Anyway, I said I was going to just
no, but that's real.
That's a whole nother topic though. But I would say this too. So I'm at a point right now. I just mentioned, like, for me, it's about understanding where I am in my life. It's about recognizing I can't change nobody but me. I literally today started therapy.
Nice.
And I'm so pumped, right? The last time I think I did therapy was 2005, okay. Right? I did therapy to just kind of address some childhood trauma. But today I'm like, you know what? I recognize that the level that I'm on right now and the things that I've been exposed to in my world is just not for everybody's ears. Like even my close girlfriends, I've confided in for years, like, I just don't want to wear them out with more of the stuff that I'm just trying to work through. One, I just respect your time and I respect our relationship enough to not every time I'm calling you with something, you know. Yeah. Two, I realize sometimes I just need a neutral perspective that doesn't have any bias towards me to just tell me the hard and fast truth. You know what I mean? So I'm so excited. And so for me, my purpose of starting therapy was, I said, God, you've allowed me to see and experience some great wins. I said, but I'm at a season now in my life where even with the wins and even with the things that you've allowed me to accomplish, now position me for sustained success. I don't want to have these moments where I am loving life, but I haven't really dealt with some of the things that could potentially hold me back, or I know this thing is going to surface one way or another, but I'm just not wanting to deal with it. Either I don't feel like it, either I feel like I don't have the capacity to, the mental capacity to, or the support to be able to deal with it. And I said, I don't want to get to a point where you take me so far and then you have to deal with me on that level publicly because I refuse to allow you to deal with me in the hidden season.
Wow.
Trying to do these things.
Yeah.
And so I'm at a point right now. Nope. I made it my business for 2023, Chris, getting a therapist this year. And
Yeah.
I just want somebody that I can be able to talk to, that I can yell, that I can scream if I need to curse a little bit. Like, I just need to get it out because
Yeah.
I realize a lot of it, I internalize it. And in the moment, like if an offense comes, I'll hear it. And I think my emotional intelligence is cool in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I realized for me, that stuff ponders. And because I hadn't dealt with it, you can say something, now I'm triggered, and now I'm pissed, and now I'm telling you where you can go, and I'm telling you where I want to go. And I'm
Right.
too old to be picking up pieces and start from scratch, even though I can. I'm
Yeah.
not doing that no more. You know what I mean? We finna build right,
Yeah.
right where we are. But for me, and I told the therapist today, like, I want to be much more alert with my trauma triggers.
That's good.
Like, what sets me off, because I need to get to the root of that. I realize I hold on to resentment. I don't want to be that way. And part of
Yeah.
that is because I try to stay in my own lane. I'm a pretty drama free person. I don't deal with no, and like I said, in the moment I can take the offense, but once I get to thinking and thinking
Yeah.
thing like they just came for me for nothing, or I think on that thing, and now I'm like, I'm cool on you, all and that it's gone for that.
Right.
So I only bring this up because all of that has to be dealt with even before you call yourself dating somebody and getting in the marriage. And you better fix you first.
You got to fix you first. I definitely agree with that 100%. And I also would like to add to that. In addition to getting counseling and being able to share and talk and let go of some of those traumas, we also have to remember that there are some things that's just not going to come out until you put in position to respond for it to come out or not. I always ask, the women that I sit with, what is your barometer of healing? Like, how do you gauge that? What does that look like for you? Because it looks different for everyone, right? So I'll share a little bit with myself. I was working on this healing journey, right? Working on healing self. And what I learned long after I thought I was healed is that I healed in an amazing way as a mother. You know why? Because that was something that I was doing daily.
Yeah.
I was a mother every single day, right? I had to interact with my children every single day. I had to remind myself that response came as a result of the divorce or something that dad did or said. So I had the opportunity to work on that more than I had to work on dating someone and trying to bridge the gap, man and woman. And so it wasn't until years later, that I realized, well, God, dog, woo, Tam, you still got some work that you need to do, right? How do you know you're healed until you put in position to respond healed or not? And there were many times, and still today, that I respond unhealed, or I respond in a way where I'm like, woo, still more work, T, more work. But I will say this, in dating, when you do get to a point of dating, you better make sure that it is someone that is able to enhance who you are going to be and not necessarily who you are. Because if you stay stuck in that compartment of who I am and who you are, then we're only talking about what we're compatible in the moment.
That's right.
We're not talking about what can you feed, what need can you, because I'm growing. Listen, I ain't stopping right here, right? So I'm going to grow. I need someone that is able to meet me down the road. I need someone that's able to see me down the road, and I ain't even there yet, right?
Yeah.
So choosing people that are just cute, that make money, good personality. We got the same thing. Our favorite colors are the same thing. There's compatibility that can change overnight.
Can I flip that too?
Absolutely.
What if I'm cool where I'm at? You know what I mean? The person that I'm choosing to date or marrying is progressing. Yeah. They're continuing to evolve. I still got to be content with me. So I'm intimidated by their growth.
Listen.
I'm not fighting them on their growth. I'm cool and I'm content where I am. I'm not a hindrance to their growth.
Right.
Recognize we just in two different, we rocking together, but we just in two different, coming from two different perspectives as it relates to where we are and what we want. And that's something too, so long as that understanding is there.
I was gonna say that happens, and you have to have an understanding, because I dated someone in the past, and when we got together, our trauma bonds were so tight. It was like we were meant to be. Like, this is my forever, right? Oh my God, you went through that as well. Oh my, it was just amazing, right? And God had to show and share with me that the same way that this is trauma bond relationship is so amazing, the free relationship can be just as, because I'm in it, right? Exactly. And so when I began to grow and move, like you just said, grow and move, and I am saying, come on, we can do this, because I'm attached to where we started and not necessarily where we're going.
That's right.
I'm like, come on. But when you feel like you good where you're at, a person that's driven can't stop. And so now what's unfair for me, what's unfair that I did was not share it up front.
Yeah.
I hope he get it together. I hope, right? And a lot of that was, I didn't want the embarrassment on Tam.
Yeah.
Tam is the relationship girl. Tam is, right? So I was concerned about what people would say more than what God was saying.
Yeah.
And so when I pointed the finger, I'll never forget. God was like, yeah, I told you that a long time ago. How dare you blame him? Right? Because I'm like, he, and God was like, yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and show you. Right. I told you a long time ago. So in that sense, dating, and if I was someone's wife, right, you don't get to just be like, all right, I'm out. You can, if that's your choice, but in a marriage versus in just dating someone.
Yeah.
In marriage, 1 + 1 = 1, right? When you're dating, 1 + 1 is really 2.
Yeah.
It's really 2.
And I think that's really good too, because you made me think about the comment that you just said, like you're in covenant relationship, right? And how, for me, I'm a runner. Like my stress or what do you call it? Either my fear response or my stress response is flight. You know, you have the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Mine is flight. I go into self-preservation mode. Like, I'm gonna take care of I can change y'all, but I can take care of me. I can, and all of that is so important to just unpack even before you start, whether you're dating or whether you're in a marriage. And I realized my response is, I don't got to deal with this. I'm out. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? I refuse to deal with this. I'm grown, not a hand of my business. You know, Pastor Rayford said all the time, strong and wrong. You know what I mean? Right. And I realized everything ain't meant to be ran from. Some stuff, just sit in it, man. Sometimes you just got to sit in it, because like I know it'll follow you. You got to pass the test, right? Follow you. Some stuff is just not meant to be ran from. Some stuff God just intentionally, I just want you to sit in this for a moment. And I'm reminded of, it's slipping me. I want to say it was Elijah. Pardon me for not knowing the scripture right off the bat, but I remember God asked him, I want you to just sit in this space right now. And his goal was to get him to see and experience the burdens of the people. Yeah. Time. And in other words, I want you to just sit here. I want you to experience what they're going through, what they're experiencing in detail, so you understand the intensity of what I'm trying to do and the magnitude of which I'm going to use you. And so I've had to learn, and I'm still continuing to learn. Just sit. I got something for you to learn in this moment. And this is what gave me peace, Tam. Yeah. We know we serve the God of the universe. We know God can do whatever he want to do. He can speak a word and our entire situation can be changed, right? In one word. I've woken up on days where I've had a regular, normal day, and God just blessed my mind with some news that was life-changing on multiple occasions. So I know that it's able to be done. What gave me peace is when I find myself in those challenging situations, whether it's dating, whether it's in a marriage, especially in a marriage. I tell people, if you ain't never prayed, you're going to pray when you get married. But especially if you don't want to run. But I had to start telling myself that if God is not moving in an instant, like we know he can, it's either the timing ain't right or he's trying to teach you something in that moment. And I'm sure, you can throw in a couple of other different variables with that. But for me, that's what I've learned about me. I can move right now, but hold on. The timing ain't right. Like, I got something coming right down the line, and if you get ahead, you'll mess it up. You know what I mean? Or I know that's what you're asking for. I know that's what you're praying. But again, bust that mirror out and take a look at you, because This one ain't always the one with the problem. That one ain't always the problem. It's
Yeah,
you.
it's you.
See you in this moment. And so I think, when you talk about covenant relationships, when you talk about being in walking in purpose and divine intentionality with who you decide to partner with,
Yeah.
what do you want? First of all, we don't take the time to even answer that question. What do you
Yeah.
What are you looking for? I think age matters. The older you get, like, all right, what we doing? We doing partnerships, or we companion? Like, what we like? You should know all of those things up front, because you probably got more time behind you than you have in front of you.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
so
right.
I think just even the stakes are higher if you've
Mhm.
a lot.
Mhm.
I know what I'm bringing to the table, what you bring it to the table,
Absolutely.
where we at, and be totally transparent, and in some cases brutally honest with that.
Yes.
I
Yes.
noticed my husband and I will be married 7 years next month. And where before I wouldn't be completely honest because I was worried about feelings. I don't want to say this. I don't want to write now. Here's what's bothering me. Let's talk about
Yeah.
it.
Right.
We're not going to keep doing this. Let's talk about it. If you don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it, well, we're going to figure it out, but we're not going to walk around this house and not talking to each other.
Nope.
You need to be free in your house. I need to be free in my house. And we just going to have to make it do what it do.
That's right. That's right.
There has to get to a point where you're willing to be honest at all costs, and obviously there's a way to do that where you can still extend grace and but part of that just come with experience. Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's it. And you mentioned being a runner, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to be still. There's an analogy that I use often when I talk about the red flags and green flags. I'm currently writing a book titled Green Flags, right? Because it's so often we talk about the negatives, the things we don't want, right? And you said earlier, okay, it's good to know what you don't want, but it's really good to know what you do want, right?
That's exactly right.
And so in that, I talk about the stoplights, so when you get to a stoplight, it's red, yellow, or green. Mm-hmm. If the light is red, just because it's red and you're in a hurry to move on, or you don't want to stop, or you want to get on to your location, you shouldn't throw your car in reverse. You shouldn't run the light. Sometimes you just have to be still. Yeah. Sometimes you can't run the light. Sometimes
make a right.
Or make a right. You just have to wait.
You just detoured and took yourself way off track.
Here's the thing. You never know what's at the next corner.
That's right.
You get to the next corner and the lights that's there are not half as bad as the lights that you were going to have to wait on initially. So we do have to be still, and we do have to allow ourselves to say, you know what, what's in this for me?
Yeah.
What's in it for me? And ask those questions, as you said, like, what do you want? Before you start dating, not even asking the other person, ask yourself, what do I want?
That's right.
Right? I know what'll make me feel good right now. I know what I want to do right now, but what are my goals? And then in that, what is it going to take for me to get there? Because everybody can have a goal, but the work that it's going to take and the partnership that you're going to need, right? When I say I need somebody that is able to support my vision and my mission, that doesn't, where before it meant I need you to walk alongside with me and help me do it. Yeah. Today, Chris, I don't need you to walk with me and help me do it. I need you to understand it. I need you to be able to see when you need to cover me, when you need to tell me to stop, when you need to say, not today. We're not doing make it rise today, right? We're not making it rise. Right? So I need someone that knows how to support me in the vein that I need support. Not necessarily do the same thing with me. I don't need another Tam.
Yeah.
And in so many words, that's what I thought I needed before.
I was just getting ready to say that it took some experiences for you to be able to identify that too.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, and then when I saw another town, I was not attracted to it. It's like, not that I didn't like seeing me, but what I don't like is seeing someone trying to be something that they're not, right? And I don't ever want to put anyone in a position to feel like, so I have to look at myself. What am I doing to make a person, an individual, what part am I playing? Because that you got to take ownership. But right. What part am I playing that's feeding the point where you feel that you have to, right? So I had to say, Tam, let go of control. Yeah. You don't get to control people. You got control issues, babe, right? I had to say, you don't put the facade up. Let it down. It is what it is, right? Let people see the real you. That's what folks need, because we've been put in position to believe that all relationships are bad. But when you see one that looks good on the outside, it's like relationship goals, but on the inside, jacked up.
Yeah. Yep.
Listen,
It's true. We can talk about this all day long and go down different. I'm trying to contain myself, just even in conversations, just because the conversation can go in so many different places. But man, I think for me, and again, especially as the more you begin to think about what you want, I had a conversation with my daughter today. She was frustrated about some things that she wanted to just share with me. And she got so frustrated. And really what it boils down to, she didn't know how to communicate. She didn't know how to express herself or what she wanted. And I let her get it all out because I realized she needed to talk. But then I said, so what do you want? Like, here's the thing, like whenever you have something that's bothering you, like you gotta at least have some options of what you think the solution can be if you solicit help from somebody else.
yeah.
I had a conversation with an employee on my team who was a little bit frustrated because they were inquiring about their next career opportunity, and was just, I don't see a path for me and all those things. And I said, why are you relying on your boss to create a path for you?
Wow.
And you say that and you hear it in real time, but it's like, that's real. Like once the moment in my career when I decided I'm not going to let nobody establish my career path, I'm going to determine what it is and where I want to go.
Yeah.
And it's not coming from a place of arrogance, but how dare us think we can put that level of responsibility on somebody else when they're still trying to figure it out?
Yeah.
I come to you if I needed something and I know you have what I need, but I'm not clear on what I want. Wow. And the same thing goes with dating or with marriage. Like you have to become clear on what I'll say this. There's still a lot of things that I am still trying to figure out, that I'm still praying for and I'm still believing God for answers for. But man, I'm really, really clear on where I am, where I want to be within the 7 years of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
7 years, I'm going to be 50 years old, and I know exactly what I want 50 to look like. And even if God changes that plan along the way, that journey along the way, guess he said, get a vision.
That's it.
So you at least know. And for me, those are my guardrails. That vision serves as my guardrail to know what kind of decisions I need to be making right now. So when I get to the moment, I'm in a good place. You know what I mean? And so I just don't believe that we do enough. And even what we do, we have to be able to do it and understand why we're doing it, and not doing it just to be jumping on somebody else's bandwagon because it looks like the right thing to do, the trendy thing to do. Why are you doing it?
Right. Absolutely.
What does this mean for you and your role? You know what I mean? I love when you talked about it earlier about meeting somebody where you want to be, not necessarily where you at, because it is so much easier to push people, right? Than be trying to pull them, and if you don't really understand where you want to be, that's not a good look for you, for the person. And in a previous relationship, I would be so upset about some of the things that were happening in the relationship, and I would say he's stupid, and he this or he that and he that. And at the end of the day, I said I have to put a Mrs. on front of that because you right with him. So if he that, Mrs. of that, you're the partner in that.
Yes.
And so if you don't like being a partner in that, change your behavior, change your attitude, change your outcome, change your outlook, change your vision and where you're going. And it wasn't until I made that decision and saw myself in it and how foolish I looked too, where, okay, what we doing? Because it ain't no need for both of us looking crazy.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I mean, that's all good. That's, and I know that there's been a couple of things that we've shared tonight that somebody's going to be able to grab and hold on to and use, in their life, just as a single person or someone that may be married. I'm constantly and consistently looking for different things that make me better, right? And whether that come from this platform, because just because I'm the host of this doesn't mean that I have the answers to everything. And I say that often because I'm never standing with my chest stuck out and saying, I got it all together, because I don't. I'm still, learning a lot about me. Like at 47, 47. How old am I? At 40, at 47, 46, 47. I'm learning now how to be still and take in the advice that people, may share. It doesn't mean that I'm taking it in and I'm literally allowing that seed to grow, but I'm listening to it enough to gauge if that's my truth or not. Because your truth about me doesn't necessarily mean it's my truth. I don't just accept it because you gave it to me.
That's right.
But I'm wise enough to know that God will send different people in your life for different reasons, right? And so if I proclaim to be a person that's a real of continual growth and healing, like I don't say healed anymore. I say healing, because I'm continuing to do the work, right? I am continuing to look in the mirror at myself as an individual, and as I date, and as the person that I'm dating, as open and honest as he is and available to share with me, like, damn, yeah, that ain't cool, right? Initially, I'm like, wait, what? Because nobody's ever done that. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Nobody's really ever called me to the table, like, in it.
Yeah.
After we broke up, all that you used to. I'm like, God,
love that in it, right? It's in it, in the moment.
That's right. We could have worked some things out, or not, because everything happens for a reason. But I'm grateful for people, just in general, that God has placed in my life. You, Rayford, Natalie, Marquise, Tina, Erica, all these people, Angel, all these people that God has given me that will give me the uncut. God, they will just tell me.
Yeah.
We'll worry about my feelings later, right? But I thank God that He's given you all a niche in how to deliver, right? Because some folks need it rough. Some you got to just be like, look, and some folks you got to massage them a bit. So I'm just glad that I have a circle of friends that's able to do that, And so again, having this type of platform and I'm held accountable for a lot, So I'm not a minister, but like ministers, they have a flock. If I am I'm on social media. So that means that what I'm funneling to God's people or people in general, I got to be mindful of who I allow to come on my platform, right? I got to be mindful of being available to hear and allow God to download in me so that I can share the right things, be out of my belly, right. Sit down and let the Holy Spirit stand up, as much as possible. And just share, and reach the people where they're at. Because, I used to church folks to death. I used to, because God said it. I used to the Bible. I used to do all of that. And God was like, that's why you're losing folks. Because they don't want to hear that. That's not your audience. Your audience is chill. They want to hear the principle of it, and they believe God, but you can show them me. You have to represent and represent who I am. Yeah. So represent who I am by what you represent to those who they just lost their way. Yeah. Represent, they can have hope. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm grateful that you came on tonight, Crystal, to share with me in this. But if you can leave something with the folks about, marriage versus dating and, how to draw the line, where do you draw the line? Just one little tidbit that you could leave. What would that be?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this, Tam, when you first called me and asked me to be a part of this. I've just been kind of pondering on it all for the past couple of weeks. And I think the line has definitely become blurry just because of the lack of standards that we have for ourselves. Right? One, the work that we refuse to do before we even get into either situation. And when you really understand God's way of doing it, there's a standard. And I believe, at least in my experience, all that He allowed me to go through and overcome in my single season, in my dating season, and now as a wife, it is to raise up a standard. Mm-hmm. And every time I find myself in a season where I'm being tried or I'm frustrated or I know God wants me to sit and not run, it's because He's trying to raise up a standard. Mm-hmm. I think the standard for marriage has been compromised on so many different levels that we just have to be reminded again, what does God say about this? And what was His original design with marriage? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That is not, dating is a worldly thing.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. Yeah, people come together, they meet, they have to date to collect data, but then it's almost like that courtship stage is missing.
Yeah.
See that you go
For
straight
sure.
from here, and you got some people that just want to marry because they don't want to burn. They've been churched and like I don't want to burn, so and I can't control myself.
So I do.
So I do. 10 years now, do I, Lord Steve?
Right.
And so I think if we are ever mindful of the standard that's required and the level of responsibility, and really take our time to go back to understanding what does marriage look like, what does it sound like, what does it feel like. I can tell you my struggle specifically is when I find myself in a challenge in my marriage, I'm looking for the standard because I want to know what's acceptable and what's just a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
What's typical stuff that marriage people go through versus this is just stupid and we're not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'm always looking for people who are well seasoned in their marriage, who have been there and done that and worked through just so many different complicated type of situations, and how they choose to govern their relationship and govern their marriage. Now, I look to them. Oftentimes, I won't ask them a question. I'm looking for, before I even ask you advice for anything. You know, I'm looking. I want to know, how did you handle this?
Yeah.
How were you able to stay with your spouse after fidelity?
Mm-hmm.
Explain that to me, because that's a deal breaker for me.
For sure.
Like how does that really work? How are you able to stay with your wife, when you guys aren't attracted to each other anymore? You know what I mean? Like, how do you work through some of that hard stuff that people just don't like to talk about, or that people will run from?
Because those are real things that actually
those are real things that actually happen in the marriage. And I think so many times, you said it earlier, we have this facade like it's all good, and when we come around, we dress to a T, and hey, how you doing? What's up, dog? And hey, how you doing? We forget that people are living life, and life is hitting them. How do you last 20 years with a blended marriage? Like, do that knowing you have other parents that you have to involve in certain decisions as it relates to children, and all of that stuff is real. And I look for wisdom like that, coming from people who are seasoned, who've been there and done that, and who can be completely honest.
Yes.
We don't talk about it enough, in my opinion, Tam, where people are just being honest. I had a girlfriend, Keisha. Keisha would tell me all the time, like, look, marriage is work. It's ministry. It's gonna be some days you go love. It's gonna be some days you go hate them. Yeah. Somewhere in between, you gotta be able to find your why and find your reason. And I think it was like those type of conversations that it gave me hope. I heard some people's perspective where it was like, yeah, marriage is overrated. I've been there and done that. And I heard some stuff where people, it's all flowers. And, where's the truth somewhere?
Yes.
That's what I want to hear. Tell me. And really, aside from the Bible and your proactive ability to study it, there is no book. There is no guide. Like, every situation is you. You can get your perspective. You can package it however you want to. There ain't no guide. Yeah. How to do some of the stuff we're dealing with,
right? And we can go through the same exact thing, but our response to it is going to be different, because every household, every need for that particular issue is going to be completely different. You have your foundation of what marriage is, what God created marriage to be and look like. That doesn't change,
right?
How each individual gets through it. I think when we share how we got through certain things, what it does really is it should just give you hope. Not say, oh, well, let me do it the way that Crystal did it, because then she did it that way, it worked out for them, so I'm gonna do it that way. No, you can't do that. That has to be looked at as, okay, so they did make it through it. So it's all about what you're willing to do, what you can do, what it's going to take, in order for you to get on the other side of that. That's good.
Yeah, and just to kind of put a bow on it, it's understanding there's it's expectations on both sides.
Yes.
If I'm married, or if I'm dating, the person that I'm dating shouldn't be experiencing benefits that only come with marriage.
That's where we at right here. That's where we at. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's that famous saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? That's a real thing, because we didn't gave away so much milk and cheese and eggs and everything else that we didn't get the whole form, right? playing house. And at the end of the day, God ain't gonna bless that. How do you know, Crystal? Because if somebody happened to pass, I don't care how many policies you got in place, it's the spouses that are responsible for making these decisions.
That's true.
These final decisions. And so there is this standard, but I think we have to get back to separating what that looks like. There's a standard for marriage, we know for sure. There's expectations for dating.
That's good.
It's the court that I think that God truly honors when you really understand what He's calling you to do.
I like that. That's like the perfect way to end this segment. It's the standard and the expectation. So the standard of marriage, and there's expectation in relationships or dating, and just courting each other. That's good. So I knew. I said she's gonna bring it home. She's gonna bring it home. I love that, and I'm gonna have to make sure that I share that each time that I come on for the rest of the series, because I think it's important for us to just continue to build and learn the difference between the two. I know for me, because I am a wife. Like, I'm a wife. It's easy for me to do wife, right?
Right.
Because that's who I am, hands down. So the thin line for me where I have to be careful is making sure that God said that's your husband, though, right? You giving all these wifely things, but then that ain't your husband. So now on to the next. It's like, oh girl, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So that was a struggle for me until I had to just shut down for a minute and say, okay, God, tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I love you for sharing everything you've shared, but I love the fact that you said in marriage there is a standard, and in dating there's expectation. So we're gonna leave it with that. Crystal, I thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show. Thank you for kicking it off with your girl. I love you. And I can't wait so that we can get the feedback from the folks and for the rest of this series to roll out. This is really good, necessary, and needed. To my viewers, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being a part of this. I hope that we've said something or shared something that you can take home, that you can use. Not only that you write down, I hate to go to events and it's just something to do, but I need to go and I need to leave with something. So I pray that you are leaving with something. And if so, drop it in the comments. Let us know what you're leaving with. Crystal, any last words?
No, just thank you, Tam, for being obedient to this. And I've been able to watch your journey and just your commitment to this and really wanting to walk out your purpose and please God in the process. I think it just needs to be said on a public platform. You killing it. You know what I mean? You're killing it. Again, I go back to those conversations when we started talking about our dreams and our ambitions and what we wanted to do and making sure that we were sold out and operating in alignment with God's will for our lives. And again, just to see it on this platform and how one last thing I'll say is I was talking to my daughter and my husband today. We were just talking about how sometimes we don't really experience the fullness of what God has for us because we don't ask for it or we don't have a need for it. And there's a couple things that I'm working on. One thing I need about $400,000 to do, and one thing I need about $20,000 to do right now. I was telling them, why would God give you something that you don't necessarily have a need for? So we might just say, well, I just need the money. God just want a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? And what you need it for, what you gonna do? You
didn't even do the right thing with the $10 I gave you.
But if you have this thing that you're working toward, you know what I mean? And now you have it. Now I can bless you with it. I bring it because sometimes we don't necessarily know what we need until it's presented to us.
Yeah.
And so you created this platform, and I've watched the guests that you've had on the various shows in the different series, and the diversity and the variety of guests and perspectives. And sometimes you just don't even know what you need. You might be rolling down your timeline or something like that, and just so happen to hear somebody, I didn't even realize that called my ear. Thank you for being obedient and for walking fully in your purpose and for allowing God to use you on this platform.
Thank you for supporting me. You've supported me for years, and I appreciate that. I'll never take that away from you. I love you. To my viewers, you guys, make sure you tap in for the next few weeks. We're going to do this series. I think it's going to stretch out all the way to September. And it's going to be good and juicy. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. Crystal, thank you for being here with me tonight. I love you, and we will chat soon. Bye, you guys.
Bye, everybody.